This is a Renew Studios Network podcast. Faithful, uplifting, family-focused.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Relationships and Reason. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about establishing your family vision. What is a family vision?
Right.
Why should you have a family vision? And how does a family vision impact or affect the way that you live your life? So with that, let's get right into it. Babe, you want to start off with what is a family vision?
Yes. So family vision, when you think about that, it is an opportunity to create an alignment, right, for your life. And, you can take this really individually as well. This is whatever guiding principle that you have, that you hold, that is helping you. It's a compass to your daily living. A lot of us, that is rooted within scripture, and maybe we take some of those aspects of scripture and we place them into a statement that aligns with us and helps us to live out the life that we want to live. So in our family vision, this is something that we as a couple come together and we establish so that we can have a aligned compass as we work together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about when this idea came into play and how it actually came into play. And it was during COVID. COVID was beneficial in a number of ways because it brought so many people together to where we had to really spend time with our family, right? And before COVID, you were together, but there wasn't a lot of time that COVID allowed us to have, right? Where we were just in each other's presence all the time. And so with that, it was about, all right, what does our future look like, right? What is it that we want our legacy to be about? And so I think that's where that idea came about of, hey, let's start thinking about this. And I believe you mentioned that you saw it somewhere or you read something about it. And we started brainstorming to see what is it that we want our family legacy to be when we say the Malcolm family.
So hold on. First of all, if I think I'm hearing you right, you're saying during COVID you didn't love spending every single moment with me?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Loved it.
It feels like with COVID, you had an opportunity to be real intentional with the time that you spent with your family. You got a chance to see, what the days, how they were broken down and what took up most of your time. And I am so glad that we did this, that we went through our family vision. We took this time, this intentional time. We sat down. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into how we went about it. But yes, I completely agreed with you. It wasn't just my time or your time. This was our time together doing something that would be purposeful and has had incredible impact on our life through over the years already.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, let's go right into what exactly is our family vision. And for us, our family vision, which we have our kids repeat this on a daily basis, so they can have an understanding of what it is that the Malcolm family is about. But it's to be good stewards of our relationships, resources, and reasons.
That is it.
Yes.
And for us, and we've talked about this before in other episodes, but what does it mean, each of those areas?
To be good stewards of our relationships. Remember, this podcast is called Relationships and Reason from our family vision. Relationships, like taking care of the people that are around us on a daily basis. Being mindful of the connections that you are making. Being mindful that you are seeing a person. And not just, blow people off, but being very observant of the people that are around your life and seeing how you can love them, how you can help them, how you can serve them. So that's relationships, resources, all the things that God has placed in our lives. And it's not just financially, but everything, whether it's that's your home, whether it's your vehicle, whether um, uh, whatever it may be, just being mindful to take care of those resources that can be beneficial for you in your current state, but for your future generations as well, and your reasons. We've talked about this in the previous podcast, but what is your purpose of being here? Finding that, doing that within your family, making your family a part of the reasons why God have you here on this earth. So it's not just an individual thing, but it's a family thing. And working together with your family and helping your kids discover their purpose, discovering their gifts, and pushing them towards to where they can be functioning in their gifting as well. So that way everybody is experiencing this joy from inside, because we're doing the things that we actually love to do, and we're doing it in community, we're doing it in relationships, we're doing it in unity, and we're using the resources that we have to create that purpose. So when we came up with this vision, it was very intentional, how we went about coming up with those words.
Yeah. And I recently I've been going back through Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, and I remember going through that book years ago, but not until I recently reread it that I heard some of his thoughts on personal mission statements, and I kept thinking to myself, maybe this is where some of this idea came from. But I also know through my experiences with professional and personal coaching, getting consistent feedback and reflecting, that's given me a lot of opportunities to think about, where am I and what are my guiding principles? And so I know there are probably a number of different things that fed into that moment or that time where we took aside and said, hey, let's do this family vision to guide us. And so we sat down 2020. And
Yes.
the first thing that I want to ask you, Hun, what has been for you? What has the family vision been for you?
Well, since we came up with it, I am mindful of the of decisions that I make, right? Because I'm realizing, I mean, in marriage, you can't just make your decision on your own anyway.
What? Okay.
Okay. You can't. There's other people that you got to think about. Or there's another person that you got to think about. But with the family vision, he's so funny. But with the family vision, you really start thinking about, okay, how is this decision affecting the whole unity of the family? And so with me, I am a quick decision maker. I like to
Okay. Go ahead.
I like to just jump in and let's make a decision, let's go, right? And sometimes I don't take a lot of time to think about things. Sometimes, Jermaine,
Right,
sometimes. So I like to jump in and make decisions, and so our family vision has allowed me to start thinking about, all right, how does this affect our 2 kids? How does it affect Jermaine? And, is it just benefiting me, or is it benefiting the whole? So I try to think of the pros and cons when it comes to making decisions, which is something that, I feel like I'm pretty good at making decisions anyway.
Yes.
But it's making me really cautious of, the actual decisions that I make.
Right. Yeah. It takes you through a process. You have to really intentionally think about it. It's something to filter through your decision making. And for me, it has been the same thing. I can remember tons of times. In fact, we have our family vision in a big custom-made, homemade frame that we designed. That was also a family project put together, and we built it, and it's right there in our living room so that we can see it. We can be constantly reminded of it. And I can remember countless moments, because there have been countless arguments, right?
Countless heated discussions, I should say.
Where we are sitting down and all I have to do is really just glance upon that mission statement, that family vision. And it has been so powerful for me in centering me and saying, hey, are you being a good steward right now of your relationship, right? Are you guys being a good steward of your resources, right? Are you being a good steward of your reason? And so countless times, I can't just countless times. And that's not just to say, hey, this is
Okay, Jermaine. There's times when I'm like, God, is he even hearing me? Oh, because I don't think he's looking at this family vision with the things he's saying right now.
So
But
I'm
go
not,
ahead.
and I'm not saying again, I'm not saying just, it's you against me, and I'm putting pointing at this vision statement as, hey, hey, let's look at this. It's really for me.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I
You talking
when I
yes, this is
look
what we're
at
talking about. You for sure.
when I look at it, it helps me to really come into alignment, make sure that I'm asking myself the right questions in how our family is moving forward. So it has been incredible for me. And then for our kids. Right.
Yeah, we have our kids say this statement on a nightly basis, and we have them explain what relationships is, what resources is, and what their reason and what their reasons is. And so the reason why we do that is to have them to get a good understanding of to take care of people.
Yeah.
Right. There's something that I say to them usually every morning when I drop them off at school is, who can we take to heaven with us? Of everything that we're given here on earth, who can we take to heaven with us? And that's only people.
Yeah.
People are the only people are the only things, is, if you can say things, but people are the only people who we can take to heaven with us. So I always leave them with, be kind to people today. Take care of your relationships today, because it matters tremendously how you are with your friends, how they are with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I know our kids struggle with, this person didn't play with me today. And so I'm often like, hey, it's okay. Yeah, it's struggle. Yes, it's just the struggle. And I'm often like, hey, it's okay. You can play with yourself, and whenever maybe they needed a moment, and whenever they feel better, then you can go play again. But not like, well, don't play with them if they don't want to play with you. It's like, no, let's take a moment and then go back and ask again, because it matters. Your relationship matters. And we give them money for different things, and hey, how are you going to take care of this money? And our big one, obviously this is a life journey, but discovering their purpose, right? And this is a parenting thing that we're discovering, like whenever they're wanting to do something where we can see that's is who they are and their personality, like developing that. Yeah. And not taking that away, or almost not even forcing it too strong, but being mindful of how we push forth what it is that they're showing interest in.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, for our kids, they are also asking the questions over and over. It feels like each year, as they get older and understand better what these words mean, they begin to ask us these things, and it helps us to refine or to make sure that we're still in alignment. What is it that relationships actually mean? What is the actual reason? And so we get to have those conversations constantly with our children, which I think is a huge blessing, right? Because without valued aligned statements like that, or consistent conversation, you just don't do that. And I love one of the things that you're really good at, Hun, is that you help us to create really needed discussions within our family consistently, and especially with the kids, things that we need to talk about. And so this is one of those things that we do that helps the kids to talk about things, and for us to, as a family, speak about things that we typically would not speak on just in our everyday busyness and so forth. So the why is there for us. We've seen it. We've journeyed through it since 2020. Going through this. This has been a huge deal for us. Now, how do we do this? And I don't think we'll be able to break down this entire thing within 30 minutes or less, but I think we can kind of touch on some of the key things that we did over this period of time. Or it was really a couple of days. We started one day and we started to we started to go through some of this exercise, and I think it took us 2 days or so to completely finish. But we also did a couple other things. We tried to understand our values. We started touching on things that are important to us as a family, and we tried to write those down. And so
when it comes to when we were thinking about it, I don't know if it took 2 days. I think it took longer than that. We had COVID, so it became a few days of just kind of brainstorming, like what words, when it comes to, for us, we did it personally. What words were important to us? What words were important to Jermaine? What words were important to me? What is the main mission of the Bible, right? Go out and make disciples of all the nations. And so we started thinking about like different biblical principles, and how is our line, how would our lives align with God's mission when it comes to this family vision? And when you think about your relationships, the Bible says to love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself, right? Those are the two things that Jesus, the two commandments that Jesus said that are the most important. So when it comes to that, that's where that relationship thing came about. And we talk about our resources, right? The Bible also says that your heart, wherever your resources, or wherever your money is, or where your treasure is, that's where your heart will also be, right? So taking care of the resources to make sure that they do not have you, right? To be able to use your resources as a way to impact the next generation, impact your future generation, and impact the people that are currently around you. And remember, resources are not just finances, but in different areas and in different aspects of life. And then obviously the mission, the purpose of your life. Like, we are all sent on earth for a reason. And it's like discovering that. And how we can do that is through the word of God. And so we took some time to try to figure that out. Like, what are important things, and from your own personal perspective, that you are like, when I see this makes sense. And so we came up with a few ideas. Yeah.
And you kind of touched on one of the core components, I think, in this. So I tried to break it down based on my recollection, but also kind of revising and listen again, kind of going back to Stephen Covey's book and seeing some of the things that were constant or similar. And so the first thing, as far as components, I would say is people, right? Your family vision. When you're establishing your family vision overall, I can't necessarily just do this I can't come up with our family vision with my mom, right? Or you can't come up with your family
by
vision,
yourself.
right? Or by myself,
Right.
right? So the people, it's I think the core factor there. That's the first factor. We decided that we needed to sit down together and talk about it. We
Right.
need to have some type of alignment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for people who have kids who are older, I think it's important to engage their
That's
children in this family vision as well. For us, our kids were 1 and 2, or 3 and 2 at this point, so they didn't really have much
Fussing
to say.
about milk, yeah. So that if we had
Fussing about
taken,
they
our
were just trying to
sons,
figure out
talk about-
what's the next thing to eat.
So that is a great point, right? You want to bring in those that can feed into the discussion, and that will also have buy-in into the
Yes,
discussion.
I was just about to say that. Whenever you're part of something that makes, when a decision is being made, it's easier for you to buy in if you share your opinion.
Right.
But if somebody just tell you what to do, then Jermaine's looking at me because I'm always constantly telling him what to do.
No. Who?
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Listen, so I'm just thinking about how much more powerful this vision, this family vision is than I realized. Because is this like the longest, apart from our marriage itself, is this like the longest commitment that we've actually bought in together? And the reason why it has lasted is because both of us did this. It wasn't just me, or it wasn't just you that was saying, okay, Jermaine, this is our family vision. Like, this is what I want you to do.
Isn't it funny how he's saying it, that I'm the one that would say that to him, not him, not the other way around?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
It's an example, right?
Okay.
So buy-in, the right people being in there, having the conversation, that is extremely important.
That is very important.
Okay. The next thing is creating the space, right? in COVID, we had no option but to have this space.
You're like, okay.
To sit down. We're like, okay. Day 57. Like, what are we gonna do now? All right, let's do a family vision. Right. But no, we wanted to be intentional about this. But actually we had to create a space. I specifically remember that we said, we had to wait until like the kids were down, like we were undistracted. We had to make and create the space so that we could have the right conversations, because some deep conversations came out of this.
Some very deep conversation came out of it. Intense conversation, I think, too, where we were, bringing up things from the past that maybe we never thought about before or seen from the perspective, and so it got us to even talk through some of our own personal issues. So, which was really good. Yeah. COVID was good in that sense.
And without the space, you can't do that, right?
Yes. Without a little person jumping on
interrupting you.
Yes.
Y'all parents know how that is. If you are able to speak like one
full sentence
these days, you are a genius. So that in itself, creating the space, it's really important. Take some time, figure out, whether it's a date or a date series, right? Because it'll take some time to do this in diving into these really deep discussions. So the next thing, which you touched on a little bit earlier, was really identifying those life experiences. And I think what's important here as well is listening to those life experiences, right?
Okay.
Not pointing any fingers. I'm saying listen.
His fingers are literally pointing towards me right now. Okay.
Listening, right? For us to understand what's there, not looking to just respond or looking to what I'm going to say next, but it was really important for us to do that.
I'm wondering if any wives out there have this problem to where their husbands are saying that they don't ever listen. Because Jermaine, obviously feel like I don't listen that much.
I'm not saying that.
Okay. Not so many words, but I do agree. I do agree with you. Listening to life experiences. And I think one of the reasons why this was so important is because it allows us to go so deep into our past and bring up some things that, as individuals, you often have things in your closet that you don't really talk about. It's been an experience. You're like, okay, I'm over it. And or at least you think you're over it. And something may bring it up, and then you have to decide, okay, do I want to share this with the person that I love? Do I want to share this with the person that I'm married to? Do I want to open up and expose myself completely to this person? And so I think that time allow us to really dive in deep into ourselves and open up and be vulnerable with each other. To where we are able to share some things, and I think that's what you were saying, is like being able to listen and to truly hear what your spouse is saying, and to take those things into consideration. So this whole family vision is a big thing, but if you are intentional to go deep, you will develop a bond. Because I think that we developed a bond during COVID that was like remarkable, to where we can actually spend a lot of time together without getting in each other's nerves.
We can be on lockdown again.
Yeah, we won't mind. We won't mind being in lockdown again for the next year or so. Okay.
No, that's beautiful. So yeah, identifying, listening to those life experiences, really listening to each other, and learning about your partner, learning about your family, learning about all the things that are important to each of you, and how it plays out to your perspective. And
yeah, absolutely. And, again, life experiences, even Jermaine and I both grew up in the Caribbean, different islands, but very similar backgrounds. And you'll be amazed, to see how our upbringings were so different, same culture, same food, same everything, but our life experiences were just so different. So even if you feel like someone, not the surface questions. I feel like, sometimes a lot of relationships, we live on the surface, but, to just go deeper with each other, and to find this, this way to say, you know what, I'm going to expose myself to this person.
Yeah.
You know, and be vulnerable to do that.
Right. Yeah. I think that is an opportunity for a deep conversation to go beyond surface level and to learn about your family, learn about your spouse.
But also your children too, you know?
Right.
So especially if you have older children, you know, to hear some of the things that they're struggling with and not be like a parent who's always giving advice, but to just simply listen to what they're saying and to get into their world, and to see what's important to them. So it'll be a good family bonding time.
So we took from those life experiences and listening to each other, we started to pull together the common threads. That's what we started to do, right? We started to pull together the common threads. We started to write them down and tried to, as much, be this is probably the most difficult part, right? When you're bringing these incredible life experiences and you're trying to make them concise so that they can fit well, not just to fit well so that they can sound right, but so that it can remain with you
and make sense.
Yeah. If any of you are out there in professional development or, you know, nonprofit management, you can a lot of times go into a place and have this long mission statement and vision statement, and you can spend 5 years there and you don't know what the mission
You're
statement
like, wait,
is.
what?
Right?
What is our mission? I never even read that before.
A part of it is really being able to take what is stated and to relate with it, to hone it, to be able to speak to it. And you can't do that if you can't grasp it.
Yeah,
right?
and if you can just say it in a sentence or two, right?
Yeah.
To where it's easy, it's relatable. It makes sense when you say it, because you can't just put like a bunch of random things together and you're like, wait, what does that mean? You know, so if everybody, I guess that's why you're saying it's a challenging part. It's bringing in people's experiences, taking the ideas. And I think this is the part that is time consuming, because you have to concise a lot of your thoughts, your experiences, and putting them into a sentence.
And that's interesting because I don't know if even concise is the right word, right? When you think about you're trying to refine and find those right words to describe, so that when I listen to you say it, if you said, you know, relationships, right? That was a common thread in my life. I want to be a good steward of those relationships because it's been important to me. I feel like God has, you know, supported me through incredible relationships, and I want to be able to do that. How do you make that resonate for you as much as it does for me? And that's a lot of times finding those common words that we can both resonate with.
Yeah, and I like that you said that, because for us, whenever we were coming up with this, you know, what people were a common word that isn't, you know, I want to be better with my sister, or I want to be a better friend. And so when you start hearing those, you know, those common words, the big word of it was relationship.
Yeah.
So it's like all these little words, and it's like, okay, what is a big word that can be a covering for all these small theme words that that's everybody is saying in your family.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like when you think of relationships, you obviously think of your spouse, your children, your mom, your dad, your friends, your coworkers, and all of these are relationships. So that's how those words were common whenever we were thinking about this. But then the big word was relationship.
Yeah. So that's good. And for that, you know, I think the communication, which I have here as another component, right? So I have people, space, life experiences, and then communication. And I believe really communication is woven into all of that, right? Because we have to really speak in a way that honors each other, but we also have to hear each other throughout this entire process in order to build something together that we can hold on to for a long time.
Yes. And I don't know if you just said this, but when it comes to the resources part, we talked about it. I talked about it earlier in terms of taking care of it. I know sometimes as a mom, I am, you know, I have the house to clean, and I'm like, oh man, I got to clean this house because, you know, I don't know when I'm going to find the time to. And sometimes I have to reflect, okay, if I don't clean, am I being a good steward of my resources? You know, when people come home, when my family come home, when people come over, is it going to be something that is, that I'm happy with when it comes to like my resources? And so when it came to, remember I said resources is not just about money, but how do you take care of the things that you actually that have been given to you? So whenever we were coming up with that word as well, so it wasn't just like all of a sudden it's resources, but it's like, okay, taking care of your home. What do you do with your money? How do you invest it? How do you keep your car? How do you, whatever it is that you have, that's your resources, that's your things. How do you, manage that and steward that? So that's how that word came up
Yeah.
about as well.
Yeah. And we're obviously referencing a lot of our family vision, but, as you go through this exercise, if you dare, if you go through this exercise, your
I dare
family
you.
vision will look different. It might look similar, but for us, I would say the core component, which especially when you look on our board, and it might have because of what I bought,
Okay.
the big thing, the big word that's on there is stewards, right? And for us, it sounded like there was a lot of just gratitude in what we thought God has given us so far in our relationships, in our resources, in our purpose. And so there's a lot of, gratitude that came about, and we wanted to continue to steward those well. And so for you and your family, as you are, taking this exercise, it can look very different.
Yeah, and it should look different,
It
right?
should,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, because we were in a different space whenever we came up with it, and like we said, we had kids that were really young,
Yeah.
so they didn't have much of an input on it,
Right.
and we came from different background. We were from a Caribbean heritage,
Yeah.
background, so things are different. Whenever we have a story of coming to the U.S. and people being so amazing in our journey, so
Yeah.
that's why relationships is important to us,
Yeah.
and other people may have different background and upbringing and everything. So yes, it should look different, but the goal behind it is to where the whole family can repeat it
Right.
and can buy into it to make them be a part of it,
Yeah.
to where it's a part of who they are
That's
as
really
a
great.
family.
Yeah. And the other thing that I would say is the refining process. So not just the getting down to it where it's a statement, but I think there's continuous refinement. As you mentioned, our kids were younger at that time. Maybe, I don't know, in a couple years or so, or maybe earlier, we'll need to go back and say, is our family vision the same? And I think that's a really good exercise as well, right? I'm saying it, but I know it'll be difficult because I think it's so cool, right?
He's like, I'm not changing it. I don't care what they say.
I would get a tattoo. However, I think it's really important for us because it wasn't just about the statement, but what we built together during that time, right?
Mhm.
Our relationship, it was strengthened. And we did something that was constructive and gave us, direction for a number of years. And I think as a family, need to often do that type of exercise. Right?
Absolutely. I would recommend this to every couple, every family, just because it allows you, like you just mentioned, to connect. And I think what this has done for us, what COVID has done for us in this sense, is that it gave us an opportunity to connect with each other, and I feel like that's something that we are yearning for. In our culture now is the connection. We know a lot of things about a lot of things, but we don't truly know to dive into the person to where we're truly connecting
Yeah.
with the person. And this is families, this is relationships, this is husband and wives, and in marriages, to where you just kind of know the surface thing, but you don't truly know what's going on
Yeah.
in someone. And this allowed us the opportunity to do so.
Good.
Yeah.
That is really all I have. I think, another time or another space, perhaps we could really dive into this, probably really make it an exercise. But this is such an important exercise. for us. And we encourage you to explore it, to think about it. Like I said, great resources out there. Stephen Covey's book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I can think about just one right there. But great opportunity.
And the Bible is also an effective resource.
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
read through during this time.
For sure. So, any thoughts before we wrap up?
No, that's our family vision, to be good stewards of our relationship, resources, and reason.
Yes, looking forward to hearing some of yours. And if you already have a family vision and you've been doing this for some years, we'd love to hear your experience as well. How has it helped you, and how did you come up with it? And yeah, want to hear from you. Thanks.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.